Hello again, and welcome to part 2 of my conversation with Murielle Fellous, my lovely French lady, as we continue to chat about our patterns of choice in life. I'm María Tomás-Keegan, your host, and I bring you these interviews because I'm passionate about helping women move beyond coping and surviving so they can learn to thrive. Murielle, I can't wait to hear what comes next for you. In the last episode, we talked about you terminating your 10-year marriage, but that making that decision and making that change maybe wasn't quite enough for you. So the universe showed you that that was true. So what do you mean by that?
So what came after that wasn't as pretty as what I wanted to happen, because although I left, so I said, I'm done with that. So I thought I was done with that. The problem is that you still live with you and with your inner programs, or what I call programs are like the beliefs and the behavioral patterns that created that result. So you still have that in you. And what I created for myself after, as far as relationships, was as dysfunctional as my marriage, if not more. Men who did not see my value because I didn't see it myself. Men who were cheating on me, men who were narcissists and self-absorbed, just as I had picked before. And the guilt part, as I mentioned in the last episode, of leaving my marriage in the way that I left, added to my choices of people who would punish me, who would show me that I was not worthy of happiness. And it took a relationship to be so painful, ending so painfully, that for the first time in my life, I was in a mini depression, which is absolutely not me. I'm usually a very positive person. I wanted to sleep a lot, and I have 3 kids, so I had to attend to my kids. And I remember crying, waking up one night in tears. And I asked God or the universe, whatever you call it, why? And I remember a voice in my head saying, because you're going to teach it. At that moment, the pain went down because suddenly there was a purpose to it. And there was a way out. So I made a promise to myself that unless I could exactly figure out what created these results in me, I would not date ever again. I would be alone, or I would figure out what was creating that. Because if there was one thing I didn't want, it was to go back to relive what I just went through. It was too painful. So I did. I went back in, and the funny thing is that I was already coaching people, so I knew about the subconscious beliefs, the subconscious patterns, but I thought because I knew about it, I'm on top of it, I'm okay. That's a big mistake, because we're not aware of what we do 95% of the time. And I had to really work on myself, even with mentors, to really get a reflection of who I was behind the curtain. And only when I did that was I able to really change, because I used some tools to change on a deep level. And then I started to create a different kind of reality. But that took more pain to realize that. And that actually affected all the areas of my life, not only love, but all the areas. Because, you know, when you go back and you really learn to love yourself, because that's the basis of it, learn to value yourself, know who you are, what you are willing to accept and what you're not willing to accept. It changes everything in all the areas of your life. You're someone else.
Indeed it does. That's beautifully said. And I love what you just referenced. We've talked about this before. And that's the benefit of mirroring, having someone that can reflect back to us what we are saying, what we're expressing, how we're expressing it, and asking questions about what that means to us, and what if it were different, and questions like that. That mirroring process has been so beneficial for me personally, and I know that's one of the things I love to do for my clients as well, and I know you do too. We've talked about that. So
It's
what
really
are the
powerful.
lessons that you learned from this experience?
The main lesson is that we don't necessarily see what we do because we function on a subconscious mode 95% of the time. And we need to take responsibility for what we do. And it's not in a blaming way, because I love myself and I talk a lot about self-compassion, but that's your only place of power, because then you step in your power. If you take responsibility, you can do something about it. You're not only a victim. Even though you may be victimized, you're not a victim. This is not who you are. And that was like that propelled me into change and into something better.
That's terrific. Those are great lessons to share. Thank you for sharing those. I know in our next episode, you're going to help us understand how to shift our perspective and shift those patterns of behavior so that they serve us better. So I'm looking forward to having that conversation with you. So stay tuned, folks. There's more to come in our last segment with Murielle. And in the meantime, don't forget, she's offering her free gift. There's a link here at the bottom of the screen. It's called 10 Signs He's Not the One. I'm Maria Tomás-Keegan. Till next time.